Hey, this is Glenn with another episode of Difficult Questions. This one, what do Americans want? This is a question I came up with on the back of 9/11 and Afghanistan and COVID madness and all of the infighting that we're doing and all of the mistakes we seem to be making abroad, especially with the pull out of Afghanistan. And then finally, as our last hurrah, we're pulling out and we bomb some people that end up to be kids. It's like, what are we doing? So this is what I've come up with. And I think that it's not necessarily true. I don't know. I'm just going through all of what I hear out there, and I want to bounce this off of you, and I want to see what you think. Because I think that Americans want the Hollywood marketed America, right? We want to be the leader. We want to be the savior. We want to be the good guy. We want to be successful, and we want people to like us. And I think that is an America I don't know that it's a myth. I wasn't alive, but that's the America out of World War II that we hearken back to, that we are the world leader. We are the beacon of democracy. We are great. We are powerful. We're amazing. Everyone wants to be like us, right? And I don't think I'm guessing that was never true, because we did some awful things, now that history shows, to other countries. But I don't know that we were able to hide it, or people were able to not pay attention to it. But now it's become apparent that we're just like every other country. We're not a good guy. We're not a bad guy. We have our own interests. And because we're not the leader anymore, because we built this capitalist machine that gave us a lot of power, that put us in a really good position, but then we started spreading that. And so now everybody has access to that power. And I think everybody has access to information. And so people are doing things globally that we aren't able to control. We talk about this global economy. I think that it's a system that is too big to control. And the United States is in some way, a lot of ways, too big to control. The system is out of control. And the great thing about capitalism was that it gave an answer to what you can't control, right? The market will then control. It's what people want. But then if you just have that, and if you give that away, and if you empower and without control and without question, and it just becomes about money, and it just becomes about success and growth, then you get some really backwards, septic things happening. And for example, the 2008 housing crisis, which we'll talk about because that's what really affected me and opened my eyes, and also made me very specific, right? I mean, my experience is completely specific, so I have very strong ideas about the way things have happened and are going to happen. But I think capitalism has become our dictator. I mean, we think about when in the United States, we put everything in reference to being able to make money. And working with the homeless, this is what I've seen. You can be a drug addict, and if you're a movie star and you make money, it's acceptable. But if you're a drug addict and you don't know how to make money, or the money is gotten illegally by illegally stealing, that means like stealing things out of stores, not getting one over on businesses, right? Or figuring out how to figuring out your official tax avoidance strategies, which we have legal stealing and then we have illegal stealing. But anyway, so if you are illegally stealing and you can't make money, then you're a bad person. But as long as you can make money in the United States, that is somehow a positive marker on your character. And that's all we've got anymore. I think when we talk to people, when we go to meet people, what do you do? Right? Not who are you? I have a friend of mine that she was really thrown off because we are our work. We are defined by our work in the United States. We are the way that we make money. It's seen as a positive thing to be able to make more money. And that's it. It's just make more money because then you can make decisions and you have freedom. And as much as we hate Jeff Bezos, we love Jeff Bezos because, look, he's making all this money. It's amazing. Now you should do something with it, but that's the component that we don't have. We don't have this moral drive. I was watching a series of documentaries and they were talking about positive freedom versus negative freedom. And the idea that positive freedom is you put a guideline, you put a series of actions in a society's path, and that is the way. It's very much the truth. The truth will set you free, right? Where this is the way, and we see that in a lot of Middle East countries, where it's these kind of moral tenets or these religious tenets. That is the guiding light for people's freedom, right? And it's out of chaos and it's order, and it allows people to prosper. And then there's this idea of negative freedom, which the West has really embraced, is you can't tell me what to do. And it's just, hey, I get to do whatever I want. And as long as I have the means, I can pursue my pleasures or my joys, right? But I think at some point now it's become empty and we don't have any guidance. We don't know what we want. We don't know what to do. We're just making money. And we also have, through capitalism, the people that can make money have found a way to have people play their game. And they play their game with the promise that they can make money. But really, they want people to play their game so they can make money. And again, this is my experience on the housing crisis and the banks and understanding what happens there. So I'm not in no way a huge socialist or against capitalism. I see difficulties, and I see difficulties that we are leading ourselves down to. And right now, the difficulty is capitalism for capitalism's sake and free market for free market's sake, because that's all we have. That's our dictator. Well, what does that mean? Did you just make as much money as you can? I give talks to high school students from my book, A Degree in Homelessness, Entrepreneurial Skills for Students. And the big thing I say is capitalism doesn't care about you. And it's true, because my work with the homeless, if you can't make money, you're a bad person. So you better figure out how to make money so you can then do things to be a good person too. But if you can't do that one thing, then this country deems you as almost a throwaway human being. So you need to be able to make money because capitalism doesn't care about you. So that's, I think, where we are. And I think that we need to figure out a path out of this. We need to figure out what we actually want. And again, with my background in homelessness, my answer is family and community, because we have a lot of messed up families. We have a lot of non-existent communities that people don't know their own neighbors. And that's a strength, because what is the meaning of life without getting too existential? But beyond us being stable and secure and wanting our family to prosper and being able to feed our families, what is the meaning? And I think the meaning is these social structures that we desperately want as humans. It's biologically innate in us. And I think we're kind of getting away from that. We don't know what else is out there because capitalism can't offer that to us. And the market can't offer that to us. And about 2008, so I bought a house in 2006, and then I got cut back at work in 2008, and the housing market was going crazy, and I wasn't going to be able to afford my mortgage. But the banks told me that I had to stop paying them before they would even talk to me. And so I realized that they were asking me to make myself vulnerable to homelessness before I could negotiate. And I just thought, wait, the game that I've been taught, being an upright standing citizen, at the time, university professor, owned a house, stable member of society. And then the bank was saying, you lose, you gotta show us that you're failing before we actually will talk to you to try to get you out of this failure. And I just thought, wait, I'm being asked to play a game that I don't fully understand. And when I was watching the movie The Big Short, I lived through everything in that. That was what my life was like. And that was a huge awakening where we have succeeded by asking people to play games that we can succeed at. And I think that spins around to giving us a whole bunch of problems domestically and overseas, because we now have we have a very strong military, right? We can might makes right, but we're now hitting enemies that don't respond to that because they have nothing anyway. So when you go into Afghanistan and it's this very disparate place that has no leadership, that likes that it has no leadership, and we go in there because a group in Afghanistan attacked our Twin Towers. So we go in there, but Afghanistan as a whole has nothing to do with Al Qaeda. So now we're in Afghanistan. We're going to rebuild Afghanistan. And Afghanistan says no. The people in Afghanistan say no. Well, we have might makes right for 20 years. We can occupy you, but it's never going to get better. And even with North Korea, South Korea, so I was listening to someone and they were saying that, we still have a military force on the border, the DMZ, to try to make sure that South Korea stays South Korea. And yes, so we can might makes right, but then that we are then committed. And as America, are we the world's police, or are we the world? Are we going to make everybody try to be like us? And I was listening to another theory that said, we didn't get that World War II win out of Afghanistan, and we didn't get it out of Iraq, and we got a lot of mistakes and shame, and the rest of the world was going, you did what? You're torturing people in the name of finding terrorists and then terrorizing people in order to find terrorists. So what are we doing, right? And that came back on us, and so we got egg on our face. We didn't get a win, and some people were saying, this is. So what happened is we didn't get a victory. We didn't get that, we're amazing, release that validation that the Hollywood America is true and valid. So then we started turning that anger and frustration in on ourselves. So I say it's like, a couple that has work problems and they bring their work problems home and they start fighting. So that's kind of the theory that people are at now, that for the past 20 years, we messed up at Iraq. We messed up Afghanistan. We got no clear victories. We got a lot of mess. We got a lot of egg on our face. We got a lot of failings. We're not the the indisputable economic power anymore. China has taken its opportunity because it said, oh, you want us to be the world's manufacturer? Okay. So now it's nipping at our heels. And it's not just the Cold War, the Soviets versus Americans, the ideology. It's a global economy and it's all just a mess. So now we are all just a mess and we bring that mess home and now we're bringing that mess in on ourselves. So my solution, I think, is we have to get back to family and community. And you're just going to hear this a lot from me because that's what I found. It's about personal directive. What are you doing with your life and why? And how can you affect people positively around you? And if you have more resources, maybe your sphere of influence can get broader and broader and broader. But that for me brings me purpose. And I think it could bring a lot of other people purpose. Because right now we're just chasing money. We're chasing money, we're chasing riches, we're chasing the ideal of the Hollywood marketing American dream. What is the American dream? I say challenge the American dream because that dream is someone else's game. And they have figured out how to make money and they're taking advantage of us and they're making us turn in on ourselves. I'm also not a conspiracy theorist, but the people in power are the ones that want to stay in power. The people with money are the ones that want to stay having money. So they have influence. And if we buy into their game, we're going to keep fighting. I think we need to not buy into their game anymore. We have to learn how to create our own games. And we have to get back into some kind of maybe positive freedom. Like, what is that? And that has its own problems, right? Where you have a church guiding your life and then someone takes advantage of that, or some other leadership, or you have a philosophy guiding your life and then you start making mistakes in front of your face because of that larger philosophy. I'm not saying it's the answer. I'm just saying we're all messed up right now and I don't think we know why. And we need to start looking at ourselves and coming up with those answers. And I think that I also tell students, you can come up with your own truth. You get to come up with your own truth. So what is your truth? What is your guidance? Forget about everyone else and trying to keep up with everyone else. What is your truth? And how can you live that truth? Because I think we are lost in the United States. We are lost and clinging on to an idea that may or may not have been true out of the victory of World War II. And we are just holding on to that for dear life. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Thanks.